Oh, it's so pretty. I can't. No. But no. No, it's so pretty. I wish you could just like tell Krishna. Yeah, can you make it snow now? Wait, no. Tell me. Can you make it snow like this? Like that? I could do them all. Put it over there. Try to put it on. All the RSVPs. Live as she can? Yes. So presents are so nice. Yeah, because she's like rich. She can buy like 20 million presents. But like she'll get these giant candles.
The candles are not very expensive.
I know, but that last year candle was the best candle. So nice.
You should also get gifts like that for your friends.
Yeah. I don't go to birthday party much. Well, because not everyone's birthday is like now.
Hare Krishna, Vrajraman Prabhu, can you hear me? Vrajraman Prabhu, can you hear me? Vrajraman Prabhu, can you hear me? On the stop there. Hare Krishna, Vrajraman Prabhu, can you hear me?
It's done. Oh, it's not.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, can you hear me? Huh? Okay. Oh, you can hear me on Zoom, right? That's what. Hare Krishna, Bhajans Prabhu.
Yeah, Anandram Prabhu, can you give me the permission to record locally, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Bhajans Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Anandram Prabhu.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, can you give the permission to record locally also, Prabhu, to me?
Yeah. 1 minute. Where was that option to?
It should be in the. You should click on my participant and then say allow to record.
Oh, okay. My participant.
Under
Given you permission. It was in. Yeah, that's what I did.
Yes, Prabhu, I received it, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome on the behalf of ISKCON Seattle and Vedic Cultural Center. We would like to welcome all of you for this second part of the session of Harikatha with His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. Again, today we are fortunate to get Prabhu's association once again. Yesterday, Prabhu very beautifully narrated how by worshipping Gaura, how we can get Radha and Krishna, right? How we approach Mayapur, we can that can lead us to Vrindavan. So since this is the part 2 of the series, we will continue on that journey, and we would like to let's all welcome His Grace Amarendra Prabhu enthusiastically by loudly chanting Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
As housekeeping rules, all of you please go on mute, and you can unmute yourself if you have any questions at the end of this session, and so that Prabhu can maintain his flow and continuity during the session. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Amarendra Prabhu, see you. You're on mute.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for having me back, and I want to offer my gratitude to all the wonderful Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are participating, who are watching us on Zoom or watching us on Facebook or YouTube, watching us as a recording, and all for those who are also not participating or watching. My obeisances to each one of you. Thank you for kindly taking some time out and blessing this insignificant soul with your auspicious presence. Please kindly offer your best wishes, heartfelt prayers, and blessings. May the right words come at the right time, in the right spirit of service to Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Shashinandan Gaur Hari. And may this endeavor give pleasure to our ears and purify our heart and our consciousness. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So I'll quickly chant the Mangalacharana and then we will get started. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kant Radha Kant Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrushabhanu Sutta Devi Pranamami Haripriye Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. My heartfelt welcome to each one of you for kindly participating. Yesterday we were discussing about Gaura Tattva, Gaur Nam, Gaur Nitai deities, Gaur Dham, Navadvip Dham. We spoke about Gaura Bhakti, we spoke about Chaitanya Charitamrit, and we spoke about what is the true pride in the family of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Parampara. What is the inheritance? The inheritance is to be Gaura Rami, mukhe bolile nahi chale. It has been described that by Jagadananda Pandit in Prem Vivarta, that just by saying Gaurar Ami, I belong to Gaura, mukhe bolila nahi chale. Just by saying it through the tongue, it doesn't suffice. What suffices or what establishes the fact that we belong to Mahaprabhu? Gaurar Achar and Gaurar Vichar. The personal character, the personal conduct of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be imbibed, and vichar, his instructions, his thought process, his mood. Anyone who practices that, only such a person belongs to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given many instructions. We can find in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrit, Chaitanya Mangal, so many of these prominent biographies on the life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We see many wonderful instructions and conversations by which we can understand the etiquette of dealing, what has to be done, what should not be done. Everything is crystal clear in Gaura Leelamrit, which means in Chaitanya Charitamrit, Chaitanya Bhagavat, etc. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's conversation with Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Prakashananda Saraswati, with Keshav Kashmiri, and at the same time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's interactions with different devotees at Kuliyagram when he was asked, what will please you the most? How can Vaishnavas or Grihastha Vaishnavas make advancement? The instructions that Mahaprabhu gave, how to chant the holy name, the verses of the Shikshashtakam, how to serve the Vaishnavas. All of these things are the fundamental backbone of any Gaudiya Vaishnava. So just by having tilak and kantimala and having Vaishnav dress, one doesn't become a devotee. Just like by dressing up like a doctor, one doesn't become a doctor. Just like dressing up like a cricketer or a lawyer or any professional for that matter, one doesn't become in that profession unless one is completely absorbed, practical. If practical is there, then with the dress, one becomes perfect, complete. Otherwise, we see Ravana also had the dress of a sadhu when he came to kidnap Mother Sita. And Putana also had the dress of a Vaishnavi when she came to poison Krishna. So the intention, of course, the attire is very important, but we must make sure as Vaishnavas or Vaishnavis, the attire reflects our inner mood. And the inner mood should resonate with the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is why our beloved Srila Prabhupada, he extracted all the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and presented a book called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And my request to everyone on the call is to please take time and read that book systematically. It is a very nice read. Teachings of Lord Chaitanya are found in every center, every temple, every ISKCON center in every city. It is one of our fundamental scriptures. So to read that during this phase of Nityananda Prabhu's appearance and Advaita Prabhu's appearance and Mahaprabhu's appearance is very, very important to extract those teachings and to make an attempt to apply them in real life. So in this way, Mahaprabhu said, Prabhu kahe Vaishnav seva naam sankirtan dui karo shigra pave Krishna charan. That by chanting the holy name and serving the Vaishnavas and tolerating all opposition, like a tree would do, one will definitely get the mercy of Krishna. So what stops the mercy of Krishna? So two things bring in the mercy of Krishna, and two things stops the mercy of Krishna as the essence of all of Mahaprabhu's teachings in a nutshell. What are the two things which bring in the mercy of Krishna? Oftentimes devotees ask this question, why is it that I am not getting the mercy of the Lord? What is the thing that I have to do to get the mercy of the Lord? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, Prabhu kahe Vaishnav seva, serve the Vaishnavas. And how should that service be? It should be selfless. Ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasidati. It should be uninterrupted, which means it's not that when my mood is right, my feelings are right, and everything is positive and anukul, very favorable in life, that's when I will serve. But when there are reversals, I will not serve. That is interrupted service. It should be uninterrupted every single day, as much as possible. This is one. And secondly, there should be ahaituki, which means there should be no hetu. There should be no hidden agenda. That if I do this, when I need help, he will do it for me. Or if I do this, he will glorify me or appreciate me. Or if I do this, etc., so and so forth. The only intention should be, this Vaishnav is very dear to Mahaprabhu. This Vaishnavi is very dear to Sri Radha and Krishna. So if I serve them and they bless me, then I will also become dear to the Supreme Lord. This should be the only intention. Only intention. I happened to visit one temple once, and the vice president of that temple, he took me to the prasadam hall. I had asked, I would like to meet the temple president, and he took me to the prasadam hall. So I said, I was thinking in my mind that I am not so hungry. Why is Prabhuji taking me to the prasadam hall? But of course, before I asked that question, we reached the prasadam hall, and the vice president devotee, he pointed there, and I looked, and he said, do you see that devotee there? He is the president of the temple. And what is he doing? He is going from one place to another, offering rotis to all the Vaishnavas. So in this way, whoever we are, whatever our position may be, we should always be humbling ourselves to serve others with this feeling that if I am senior and that is stopping me from serving others, stopping me from serving the Vaishnavas, then that seniority or self-assumed seniority is actually an obstacle on my path of bhakti. If I'm actually senior, I heard from a very advanced devotee this very interesting point. He said that who is senior? Not simply someone who has seen years pass by, but who is senior? Who has seen Krishna through the ear, heard sufficiently, chanted nicely. It's a very wonderful example in personal conduct. So seniority is seen by the flowering of the consciousness. We should always be enthusiastic to serve others, in the feeling that, oh, I must serve the Vaishnavas, I must serve the Vaishnavis, the Matajis and the Prabhujis, respectively, so that when they bless, sincerely when they offer prayers for my upliftment, when they are pleased, then I will make some advancement. So this is the intention. If it is uninterrupted and it is unmotivated, then that is Vaishnav Seva. Very, very interesting. His Holiness, in fact, His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu from the ISKCON Radha Gopinath Temple, ISKCON Chopati in Mumbai, was once saying how one devotee, when he was initially, he was head of department. He was then promoted to be the temple president there. So His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was approached by that devotee, said that, Maharaj, I have been appointed as the temple president. What are my duties now? And Maharaj said something very, very interesting. He said, head of department means servant of that department. And temple president means servant of that congregation. So in this way, whatever our position may be, whoever we may be, we could be children, we could be male, we could be female, we could be senior citizens, senior either in our spiritual advancement or senior in age. There is no stoppage. We can always serve the Vaishnavas to the best of our ability. And if physically it is not possible, we can do Vaishnav Seva by hearing from senior Vaishnavas sincerely, taking it from the ear into the heart and not letting it go from the other ear. To take their words very seriously, very sincerely, and make an attempt to apply that in real life. This is also Vaishnav Seva. Because Vapu Seva could be little limited, but Vani Seva is unlimited in the sense that the spiritual master may have, let's say, 1,000 disciples. How many rotis can he eat at the same time? He will be able to eat only 3 or 4 rotis at the same time. So how many persons does it take to make that roti? Maybe 1 individual. So how many can cook for Gurudev? 1. And how many can clean the room or make the bed ready, etc.? Maybe 1. So 2 disciples can take care of all the Vapu Seva. So why did Gurudev initiate the remaining 10,000 disciples? Why did he initiate them? So that they can continue performing Vani Seva. The mood of the spiritual master, the mood of the higher Vaishnava is accepted in real life, and lifestyle changes are made to apply those principles. The mood of the senior Vaishnava overrides the mood of the conditioned soul. Till the time we don't take Anugatya means seniority, or to come under senior guidance. We don't accept senior Vaishnavas on the top of our head. Till then, we are guided by the mind. The mind will dictate to us, do this, do that, go here, go there, chant like this, don't chant at this time, sleep, wake up, etc. And then depending on the fluctuations of the mind, we act. But when we have senior Vaishnavas above our head, and we feel like not chanting, but their instruction is to chant, and we are ready to override the wants of the mind and replace that by the direction, the guidance of senior Vaishnavas, that is when we start making our journey back home, back to Godhead. This is the secret that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught, to always have Anugatya. A Vaishnava who is not in Anugatya will make hardly any progress. But the Vaishnava or Vaishnavi who is under Anugatya, Anugatya means under senior guidance, personal guidance, loving guidance. It could be one's Diksha Guru, and it could be some powerful Madhyamadhikari Siksha Guru also, because the Diksha Guru may not have time to personally take care of every disciple in person. But there could be representatives, there could be senior high-class Madhyamadhikari Vaishnavas who are very situated, like fixed up on the path of bhakti. And when we are under their guidance, then all of our material questions, our the conflicts in our mind, even family issues, how to worship the deities, how to chant Gayatri, how to chant Japa, what to do for children, how should our lifestyle be, should we move into a new home, should we buy a new car, every single thing we could ask a senior Vaishnava who has a lot of affection for us, lot of time for us, and has a very strong power of discrimination, who will not trap and entangle us in this world. So this is why even when Raghunath Das Goswami, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami came to Jagannath Puri and wanted the personal association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the hand of Raghunath Das Goswami and placed in the hand of Swarup Damodar Goswami and said, you be under Anugatya, you be under Swarup Damodar. And then he asked, all your questions you should ask him. But now you have approached me, therefore I will answer. But in the future, you should be under his guidance. So Mahaprabhu taught us Anugatya. This is the meaning of Gopi Bharatuhu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudasaha. This is the actual meaning. To be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord means to have a Madhyamadhikari Vaishnava above our head and to do everything according to their guidance. Without guidance, we will fluctuate on the path of bhakti. In the 8th canto Bhagavatam, the principle of anugatya or obedience has been mentioned. This is very, very interesting. His Holiness Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj in Mayapur and also Shripad Bhurijana Prabhu both have mentioned this at different occasions, that there are so many instructions and do's and don'ts in the Shastra. When the question was asked to them, how does one remember all the do's and all the don'ts and properly walk on the path of bhakti? Both of them at different occasions separately said the same point. They said that you don't have to remember all these rules and regulations. You simply have to remember one rule, and that is obedience and submission at the lotus feet of a great Vaishnava who is following all of this. So find a great soul who's very fixed up on the path of bhakti. It could be one's Diksha Guru or Siksha Guru, someone very high class, higher than us. Rupa Goswami talks about this. Sajatiye ashaye snigdhe sadhu sanga swatovare. In the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Rupa Goswami has said that how should the association be? Sajatiya. It should be like-minded. Like-minded means if someone is performing Rama Bhakti and wants to attain the realm of the service of Sita and Ram in Nitya Ayodhya, then his superior must also be a Rama Bhakta. If his superior is a Narsimha Bhakta, then his upasana or his paddhati, his pranali, his approach towards the Supreme Lord, and this aspiring Rama Bhakta, it will not be in sync. Although Sri Ram and Sri Narasimhadev are completely non-different, the moods of their worship are different. The rasas in which they're worshipped are different. Just like you can see, you can have a green mango and you can have a yellow mango or a ripe mango. Both are mangoes, but the taste in the different kinds of mangoes are different. They're all mangoes, but the tastes are different. So similarly, all the Vishnu tattvas, they are all like mangoes. They are all non-different from one another. But the juice, the taste, the rasa that they emanate through their pastimes and they fill in the heart of their aspiring devotees is different. So first point in the association, sajatiya, it must be like-minded. Second, snigdha. The person whom we interact with as our superior must have affection for us, and we must have affection for him. And third, sadhu. He must be non-duplicitous, non-hypocritic. And fourth, swato. Swato vare. Swato means swataha, personally, and vara means higher. So he must be higher in consciousness than the individual. So 4 things Rupa Goswami says for first class association. It must be like-minded as far as the goal is concerned. And this is very, very interesting, very intricate, because even amidst those who worship Sri Krishna, there are different moods. There are those who worship Krishna in Vrindavan, those who worship Krishna in Mathura, and those who worship Krishna in Dwaraka. And the moods of seva are completely different. And even those who worship Krishna in Vrindavan, there is Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya Rasa. This is why we see even in our acharyas, in our Goswami line, we see that Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu, it's very interesting. The line of Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu, Shyamananda Prabhu, Dukhi Krishna Prabhu. Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu was aspiring in Sakhyaras. But when Shyamananda Prabhu, Dukhi Krishna came, he understood that he is actually in Manjari Bhav. He is aspiring for Radha Krishna Seva. So immediately he sent him to Jiva Goswami, who is also a Manjari, a maidservant of Radha and Krishna. So in this way we see that Srinivasa Acharya, Narottam and Shyamananda Prabhu were sent from different spiritual masters to Jiva Goswami to study. Different lessons can be interpreted out of it, but this is one of them. Gopal Bhatta Goswami was the Diksha Guru of Srinivasa Acharya, and Lokanath Goswami was the Diksha Guru of Narottam Das Thakur, and then Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu was the Diksha Guru of our Shyamananda Prabhu or Dukhi Krishna Prabhu. So Narottam Das Thakur, disciple of Lokanath Goswami, Srinivasa Acharya, a disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Shyamananda Prabhu, disciple of Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu. And Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu, being in the line of Gauri Das Pandit, whose Subal Sakha in Sakhyaras was aspiring for Sakhyaras, but he sent his disciple to Jiva Goswami. So the point I'm making as an example is Sajatiya Seva or Sajatiya Sangha can get very, very intrinsic or intricate as we make advancement. But at this point, it is sufficient to note that the superior must be Sajatiya, like-minded, must be preferably a Gaudiya Vaishnava in the same line. Sajatiya, Ashaye Snigdhe must have affection for us. We must have affection for him. Sadhu Sangha, he must be Sadhu. He must be very well established in Satya. Satam, Sadhu means Satam. Satam means Satya. Satyam Param Dhimahi, established in truth. And Swatovare, he must be advanced, more higher. So in the 8th canto, we see an example of obedience to such great souls. Obedience like this. We find in the Samudra Manthan Lila how the demons did not obey the Supreme Lord and therefore they did not get anything. But the demigods, they obeyed Vishnu and they got the nectar pot given by Dhanvantari and distributed by Mohini Murti. So this is why Srila Bhakti Vidyapurna Maharaj and Sripad Bhurijana Prabhu were both mentioning that find a great soul like this, and obedience to such a great Vaishnava is the only thing we have to remember. There is a difference between a stray dog and a pet dog. A pet dog is someone who has a collar belt of subordination, but a stray dog is externally independent, and therefore he's unchaste. He eats from the trash, and there's no one taking care of the stray dog. Especially in India, this is seen. But the pet dog is very well taken care by the master, because he's surrendered to the master, obedient to the master, very faithful to the master. So if this mood is there, then everything, all good fortune will come. In the 8th canto, coming to the example, during the Samudra Manthan Lila, the churning of the milk ocean pastime, when the Devatas wanted to churn the milk ocean, they were completely depending on Vishnu. And it was Sri Hari, Narayana, Vishnu, who helped them in all ways possible. He gave them the churning rod in the form of the Mandarachala mountain, gave them the churning rope in the form of Vasuki. He, in fact, stabilized the whole situation as Kurmadev. He was Ajita on the top, holding the mountain. He was taking care of the whole thing. But in return, he expected the demigods 4 things. This is found in the Bhagavatam in the 8th canto. What are the 4 things Vishnu told the demigods? First, he said, Ma bhetavyam kalakutam. First of all, do not fear the poison that emanates and give up the churning process. Do not give up the churning, seeing the poison. Continue. Point number 1. Second point, he said, whatever situation I give you, whatever the situation is, you just be obedient to me. Don't ask any questions. So whatever gifts come out of the thing, don't run behind them. Whatever I give you, that is what you should accept. So point number 1, don't fear the poison and give up. Point number 2, don't become greedy for the gifts that come up and run behind them. Point number 3, if the demigods come and take, don't get agitated and get angry. And point number 4, always move in obedience to me during the process. And the demigods agreed. But the demons were completely against this principle. So the demons were given the snake, and we see that the face was given to the demigods and the tail was given to the demons. So the demons started talking to each other. What is this? The tail of the snake is very inauspicious. And the phrase that they say is, Ahi pucham amangalam. Ahi means snake. Pucham means tail. Amangalam means it is inauspicious. So Ahi pucham amangalam. The demons are talking to each other. That was this Vishnu has cheated us. He has given the face of the snake to the demigods, and he has given the tail to us. This is actually a cheating. He has cheated us. So they took this case to Vishnu, and Vishnu said, no problem, let me switch it over. And he asked the demigods, you don't have problem, right, if I switch it over? The demigod said, according to the obedience principle, you give us the face or you give us the tail, we have no problem. Switched it over. That was point number 1. Now, when the churning process began, the poison emanated. The demons were very, very affected. They even considered giving up the churning and run away. But the demigods remembered. The demons thought of giving up, but the demigods remembered. Ma bhetavyam kalakutam. Do not fear and give up the project. So sometimes when obstacles come on the path of spiritual life, the mind takes the path of least resistance and says, let me give it up. Chanting, when I'm sitting and chanting, my back hurts, my legs hurt, I feel sleepy. Oh, let me give it up. This is what the mind says. But the Supreme Lord said, no, do not fear the poison that comes up. Don't worry. Continue the process and there will be all auspiciousness. Then when the churning took place further, different products came out and the demons were very greedy to take. The moon came out, Lakshmi Devi came, so many things came. The demigods were not greedy behind any of that because they had given their word of obedience and submission to Vishnu. In fact, because of that, Vishnu himself gives so many gifts to the demigods. Like Airavata, the elephant was given a gift, was given as a gift to Indra through that Samudra Manthan Leela. And fourth, when the demons were misbehaving, the demigods were told to tolerate the whole situation. This is the path of Krishna consciousness. We should become like the demigods, which means when the process of bhakti begins, the churning, first of all, we should have a superior above us, a great Vaishnava, Shri Guru, Diksha Guru, Siksha Guru. Siksha Guru ke to jani Krishnera Swarup, Antaryami Bhakta Sreshta ei dui Roop, Ek Bhagavata Bada Bhagavata Shastra, Ara Bhagavata Bhakti Rasapatra. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that Siksha Guru Keto Jani Krishna Swarup. One should have such a high class Siksha Guru that who could be considered to be non-different from Krishna. Antaryami Bhakta Sreshta ei dui Roop. One should be convinced that the Paramatma in my heart has appeared externally to instruct me. Jadyapi Amara Guru Chaitanya Radas Tathapi Janiya Sei Tahara Prakash. Kaviraj Goswami says that one should understand, although we know Gurudev is a manifestation of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but for the disciple, he should understand this is Tahara Prakash. He may say that he's just a disciple, he's a disciple of his Gurudev and he's the servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but we should be convinced he's Sakshat Hari, Sakshat Gaura Hari. So in this way, Kaviraj Goswami has given many verses in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Guru Krishna Bhakta Shakti Avatar Prakash HG Rupe Krishna Korila Vilas. He says, apart from Panchatattva, the sixth form of Krishna's appearance is Gurudev, or the senior Vaishnava in our life, very high class Vaishnava. So when the demigods are there, they teach us these lessons, that when we start churning the process on the path of bhakti, first of all, we should depend on our superior for the rope, for the stick, for the support, for the holding, complete obedience. If they give us the face of the snake or the tail of the snake, now this is very interesting. What is the tail of the snake and what is the face of the snake? Snake represents seva. The demoniac mentality is ahipucham amangalam. The backside of the tail of the snake is inauspicious, which means behind the curtain service, I don't want. This is demoniac mentality in the Bhagavatam. Ahipucham amangalam. The demons looked at the snake and said, I want the face of the snake. I don't want the tail of the snake. That is the mentality that I want to be the face of the service. I want to be on the stage. I want to be in the front end. But if I am behind the curtain and I'm not acknowledged, then what is the point of service? This type of mentality is what the demons were signifying. So when we read Bhagavatam, it is very, very introspective. There is a storyline, but there are also very wonderful lessons that come out of that pastime. But when it was flipped, the demigods had no problem, which means someone who was given the stage was suddenly flipped and said, you go behind. And he was completely happy with that. So first point, depending on the superior like the demigods did. Second point, even when there is a switch in service, the demigods have no problem. Third, even when there is poison or there are struggle and controversy or contradiction or anarthas which come up, one should not give up the service. One should continue the project. That which is instructed by Gurudev, given by higher class Vaishnavas. And then fourth point, when this process of bhakti begins, many gifts will come out. And those are not the gifts that we are aspiring for. We are aspiring for the pot of nectar, which is Krishna Prem. But the different gifts that come out of the churning process will be dharma, artha, kama, moksha, and bhukti, mukti, siddhi. So many things may come up. Oh Prabhu, please come for prasadam. Oh Prabhu, please take this jacket. Oh Prabhu, please keep this. So many things will come. But if we get attracted to that and we forget our seva, or we do the seva to get that, then we are cheated. It is like the demigods who were churning to get the pot of nectar, but then when they got moon and Airavat and Lakshmi, they forgot the pot of nectar. That should not be the case. Even in the Ramayana, we see in the Sundarkand, when Hanumanji is flying over the ocean, the mountain called Mainak offers Hanumanji a cave to rest in. Says that you may be tired, please sip some water from the ocean and you can rest in my cave. And Hanumanji just touches Mainak with his hand and he says, oh, thank you so much. When I complete my seva to Sri Ramachandra, then I will come and rest. So what does Hanumanji teach us? In the process of finding Mother Sita or performing service for Ramachandra, if one gets distracted by the alluring, tempting, luxurious, opulent distractions in the form of Mainak, oh, you please come, you drink water, you rest in the cave. And then if Hanuman forgets that he has to go, what is the point? Instead, he didn't hurt the feelings of Mainak. He accepted it with both his hands, but he accepted it with a very wonderful clause that I will take it once I do my service. So he didn't reject Mainak, didn't offend him, and didn't get completely carried away by that and forget the service. So similarly, demigods, they tolerated the Mainak-like allurements of all the different gifts that come because Vishnu had said, you wait. So devotees must be like that. This is the meaning of na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitamba, jagadisha kamaye. Mama janmani janmani ishware bhavatad bhakti rahaitu kitvai. When the churning process begins, automatically so many things will come. We see even in this world, when the child cries in a cradle, the mother will come and try to sing different songs or put different toys around, and the child is very happy, giggling and laughing. So the mother has distracted the child successfully. But when the child is not allured by any of these distractions, and only once the mother, he or she in the cradle will cry hard and will not agree for any of this. And that's when the mother realizes, I have to switch off the knob on the stove and run to my child because the child really wants me. So same is the case in the path of bhakti also. Krishna will give different alluring toys. And then if we get completely attracted by that, Kanaka, Kamini, Pratishtha, then we are attracted by the gifts from the churning process, but we are not getting the pot of nectar. And the fourth thing is, if we see people taking advantage, I am churning, but people are taking it away. Very interesting. This also happens many times in the Vaishnava community. I am putting hard work, but he is taking credit. I started the whole thing. He comes in the last minute and claims as if he has done everything. So many times these things may come up. So this is like the demigods are putting hard work and churning, and these products are coming up and the demons are coming and taking it away. And Vishnu told the demigods, do not worry. Don't get angry at them. So that is another lesson for all of us. One, when the churning process has to start, the process of bhakti, have a superior. Second, on this path, if there is a change of service, any service, back-end service, front-end service, face of the snake, end of the tail of the snake, no problem. Second point. Third point, when the churning process begins, the poison comes up. Don't stop the service. Pray. Shiva in the form of Gurudev will come and drink it away. We don't have to worry. Fourth point, when alluring gifts come up, we don't get distracted by them. And fifth, if someone is taking them away, we don't get angry. If these points are followed, then the Supreme Lord himself will appear and the pot of Krishna Prem will be given to the Vaishnavas. So in this way, these are principles we find how obedience, how submission, how anugatya in Vaishnava association, in Sadhu Sangha, it really helps. These are fundamental principles to be done. Temptations will come, oppositions may come. We tolerate both the temptations to which we could very quickly slip and slip out of the mainstream, or opposition, which is very difficult to tolerate, but we tolerate both of them and we continue our service. So the nectar of the pot of nectar at the end is called Krishna Prem. The churning process is Krishna consciousness. And the poison that comes up is Anartha Nivritti. And Shiva, who's there, is Gurudev. And of course, Krishna is there as the Supreme Lord. So in this way, we follow obedience. Then this is guaranteed. Success is guaranteed. But when Anugatya is not there, these principles of Vaishnava relationships are not followed, then we could be chanting. And we could have tilak, and we may have all the rules, but we may not. We may have snail progress because we are doing according to our own mind. Today I feel like reading, I will read more. Tomorrow I feel like chanting, I will chant more. Third day I feel like doing some seva, I will do more seva. But there is no consistency. There is no consistency. His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, once many years ago, one senior Vaishnava was mentioning in the class that Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj took a yatra to Navadvip Dham. And this was in the late 80s, early 90s. So not many devotees were there at that time, just a few. So they were got into a small temple. And some devotees even wondered, why did Maharaj get us to this temple? So Maharaj sat on the Vyasasana and he said, do you know why I got you to this temple? And one sincere devotee, he put his hand up and he said, oh, Guru Maharaj, I was actually thinking the same thing. What is the purpose of bringing us to this temple? So Maharaj explained that, yes, this is Navadvip Dham and the temple is very powerful and the deities are very beautiful. They are all true. But the main reason why I got all the devotees here is to have the darshan of the Pujari. He said this Pujari was initiated by his Gurudev at the age of 11. He was 11 and his spiritual master initiated him and gave him only one instruction, gave him the deities and said, take care of these deities all your life. And he is 81 years old, which means it's been 70 years. He has been in the same place, doing the same service every single day to the same set of deities. Maharaj said this level of consistency is what pleases Krishna, because it is uninterrupted and it is unmotivated, because no one comes here. It's a small place. So he's doing it selflessly for the deities, for the pleasure of his Gurudev. So 6 offerings a day, waking up the deities, bathing them, dressing them, doing all the aratis, cooking for them, making garlands for them, singing for them, taking care of sweeping the temple, making it very clean, giving charanamrit to the devotees, taking care of all of these things, buying, shopping for the deities, the fruits, the flowers, the vegetables, and also putting them to sleep, waking with the deity and putting them off to sleep and then going off to sleep. He said this level of consistency every single day, giving a whole life to one instruction of one superior. This is what pleases. Because we find in Gaur Leela, Anugatya principle of accepting a superior Vaishnava and surrendering to that Vaishnava, Karmana Manasa Gira, through thought, word and deed, is highly appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Highly appreciated. Because Mahaprabhu had 3 kinds of Raghunath. There was Raghunath Bhatta, there was Raghunath Vaidya, a doctor, and then Raghunath Das Goswami. But he always called Raghunath Das Goswami as Swarupera Raghunath. He who was sold out to Swarup Damodar Goswami. We find the brilliant example of Narottam Das Thakur selling his life at the lotus feet of Lokanath Goswami. We find examples of Kuresh surrendering his life at the lotus feet of Sripad Ramanujacharya. In fact, it is described, Sripad Ramanujacharya once told one of his very dear servants that pack all the deities as we have to go for a long trip. Pack all the deities in this bag. So a specific servant who was serving Sripad Ramanujacharya at that time, he packed the Sri Vigraha of Sripad Ramanujacharya in that bag, and also put Sripad Ramanujacharya's padukas, slippers, wooden slippers in that same bag. So Sripad Ramanujacharya was perplexed. He chastised the disciple. He said, what are you doing? You're putting my slippers with Thakurji, with deities, Lakshmi Narayana, in the same thing. This is offensive. What are you doing? So he smiled and he said, oh Gurudev, you said put all the deities in one bag. Lakshmi Narayan are your deities, your Paduka are my deities. Therefore, I put all the deities together. So this level of Guru Nishtha and Ananyata has been very highly appreciated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Acharyas. This is why even Kulashekara, King Kulashekara, in his Mukundamala Stotra, he says, Majjanmana phalamidam madhukaitha bhare mad prarthaniya madanugraha esha eva tvadbhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya iti mam smaralokanatha. So we heard the word bhritya, 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 bhritya 7 times. Kulashekara in his Mukundamala Stotra, he says, my Lord, if you are pleased with me, mat janmana phalamidam madhu kaitavare. Oh, killer of madhu and kaitava, my only desire is, if you are pleased with me, then please give me the fruit of my life. What is that fruit? You remember me, not as me, but remember me as the Tvad bhritya bhritya paricharaka bhritya bhritya bhrityasya bhritya iti mam smara lokanatha. Smara lokanatha. Iti mam smara lokanatha. O Lokanath, O Lord of the universe, you remember me as the servant of 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 your servant. This is the mood, which means you remember me as the servant of my Gurudev, servant of a high-class Vaishnava. If this is how you remember me, then my life is successful. It is like saying when a dog comes, oh, whose dog is this? Oh, that's the neighbor's dog. So just like when you see a pet, you remember the master immediately. In that mood of humility, King Kulashekara Alvar is saying that when you see me, my Lord, you please remember me in connection to my master. Even Rupa Goswami has said something very similar. Jnanavalambhaka kechit karma valambhaka vayam tu haridasanam padatranavalambhaka. Srila Rupa Goswami says, those on the path of karma and those on the path of Gyan Marg, my obeisances to them. Let them be happy wherever they are. But as far as I am concerned, I am very busy. What am I busy doing? Vayam tu haridasanam padatranavalambhaka. I am busy carrying the footwear of the dear non-duplicitous high-class Vaishnavas of Sri Hari. I am busy carrying the footwear of such Vaishnavas on my head. This is what I am busy doing. May those on the karma marg or jnana marg try on their own endeavor. But I am completely happy to be under the guidance of the most exalted footwear of the non-duplicitous high-class Vaishnavas of Sri Hari. This is very, very important. Srila Prabhupada Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to repeat this in English, that we are the servants of the non-duplicitous Vaishnavas of Sri Hari. This is the mood. So therefore, even in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see the story of Kalidas. Kalidas was so surrendered to the Vaishnavas, that he would go and give mangoes to all the Vaishnavas so that they eat, they chew on those seeds, chew on those pulp, and when they spit the seed and spit the skin out, he would jump off from his hiding. He would hide behind a grove and see. So when they throw it in the trash, he would jump out and suck on all of that. He was so attached in surrender and submission to the Mahaprasad of the great Vaishnavas. Bhakta pada dhuli ara bhakta pada jal bhakta bhukta avashesh eitini mahabal. It has been described that the dust from the lotus feet of Vaishnavas, the charanamrit from the feet of the Vaishnavas, and the remnants from the plate of senior Vaishnavas, all three of them infuse Krishna Bhakti in the heart. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described that Kalidas, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Kalidas was so attached to eating the remnants of Vaishnavas, not one Vaishnav he had left. He had eaten from everybody's plate. He himself would go and give the mangoes, and when they would throw the remnants, the leftover, he would jump out from the hiding and suck and eat on all of that. And what did he receive? He received something very, very precious. In Jagannath Puri, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would wash his lotus feet before entering the temple, Kalidas, he put his hand under the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, and 1 and 2 and 3 times he took the Charanamrit from the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would never give his Charanamrit to anyone, but he gave it to Kalidas because Kalidas gave himself to the process of Vaishnava Seva. So if we can serve the Vaishnavas, there is no higher gain than that. There is serving the Vaishnavas is actually not a burden. It is a great privilege that is offered after millions of lifetimes. Just to please the Vaishnavas, those who are chanting nicely, those who are hearing nicely, those who are not criticizing anyone, just to be of some pleasure to them, to serve them prasad, to cook for them, to clean something for them, so that they become pleased. And they in their heart feel, oh, he's doing so much for me. Oh, Krishna, why is he doing so much for me? Just that thought will now bring in the flow of mercy and kripa. So when someone serves the Vaishnavas like that, the Supreme Lord is very, very pleased. Sri Krishna himself was carrying the lotus footwear of Nanda Maharaj to show how he himself, aham bhakta paradhino yas swatantra ibodvijaha sadhubhi grasta hridayam bhaktai bhakta janapriyah sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tu aham mad anyattena jananti naham tebhyo managapi. Krishna is so controlled by the Vaishnavas that we find in the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu had given his Sudarshan Chakra to Ambarish Maharaj. Sudarshan Chakra was in the service of Ambarish Maharaj, to the side. Whenever Ambarish Maharaj needs help, the Chakra would leave on his own. So Vishnu had kept his Sudarshan Chakra in the house of Ambarish Maharaj. So this is the level how much the Supreme Lord gets controlled by the heart of a great Vaishnava, very great Vaishnava. Even when Raghupati Upadhyaya meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the 19th chapter of Madhya Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets Raghupati Upadhyaya, and he tells him, "Oh, you're such a great scholar. Please give me Krishna. Please speak some Krishna Katha." So Raghupati Upadhyaya says, Shrutim apare smritim itare bharatam anye bhajantu bhavabhitaha aham tu nandam vande yasyalinde parabrahma. Raghupati Upadhyaya says that let people worship Krishna on the basis of Shrutis, Smritis, and Mahabharata. As far as I am concerned, my worshipable deity is Nanda Maharaj. Why? Because it is Nanda Maharaj in whose courtyard that all-knowing Lord learned the art of walking. Aham tu nandam vande yasyalinde parabrahma. And listening to this, Mahaprabhu had ecstatic symptoms. Hair stood on end hearing the glories of the Vaishnavas. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is described when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would describe the glories of Vaishnavas, he would describe with 5 mouths. What does that mean? Of course, Mahaprabhu has 1 mouth, but 5 mouths means uninterrupted. He would go on glorifying the good qualities in Vaishnavas, in utter humility. So in this way, by serving the Vaishnavas, we please the heart of Krishna. But for that, it has to be uninterrupted, and it must be unmotivated. To the extent it is like this, to that extent it pleases the heart and it pleases the Supreme Lord. In one of the yatras of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, thousands and thousands of devotees were there. So to make rotis was an uphill task. To make thousands of rotis, you can imagine if 6,000 devotees come and each devotee has to eat 3 rotis, 2 or 3 rotis, and we have to make 12,000, 18,000, 20,000 rotis for a meal. So many Matajis, Vaishnavis, they volunteered, and they were cooking round the clock. They never got chance to go anywhere, visit any tirtha, even sit and hear class or participate in kirtan, because they were constantly working, like from morning up to night, all day, every day, all day, every day. So then at the end of the yatra, the management decided that they will all be given some remuneration, some financial remuneration, and that should be given through the hands of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. So they kept the donation, the money in the envelope, and gave Maharaj to offer it. Maharaj said, yes, they have done so much hard work. They have sacrificed their personal health and like sweating, and they can sit and hear kirtan or katha or travel with the devotees and see different places, but they're just working. So yes, we should give them some offering. So then Maharaj gave all of them envelopes and he spoke kind words personally. So when they didn't know what's there in the envelope, so when they opened the envelope, they all started crying, and they said to the devotee later that, you please take all this money. We don't want any of this. I said, why? You have given so much service. So they said, for us, the greatest possession in our life is we wait for this kind of opportunity so that we can selflessly serve all the Vaishnavas. These Vaishnavas are so tired. They go all day under the sun to see all these pastime places, to do kirtan. They're so simple and so surrendered. They're chanting japa. And now when they're tired and hungry, we are getting the saubhagya. We are getting the fortune of being instruments in serving them. So this is the greatest possession in our life. This is the greatest gift. Please don't give us any money. Please keep us in this service all the time, every time, year after year. So when His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was conveyed about this, Maharaj really appreciated this mood. And he said, this is very high-class mood of Vaishnav Seva, where completely selfless. And by doing service, they're feeling so much happiness. I don't want to be served, but I want to serve the Vaishnavas. So we were talking in the beginning how Mahaprabhu, when he was asked, what pleases you? The two things he mentioned was Vaishnav Seva, one. And second thing he said was chanting the holy name. Both are important, to chant the holy name and to serve the Vaishnavas. So these two things bring in the mercy of Mahaprabhu. Selfless chanting. So this ahaituki apratihata principle goes for both. Naam also, Vaishnav Seva also. Uninterrupted chanting, unmotivated chanting, not expecting anything from the chanting. So what can be our mood of chanting japa or doing kirtan? Mahaprabhu told Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur that Prabhu agyaye bhai mage ei bhiksha, bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, koro Krishna siksha. That go to every door, knock and tell them about Krishna. Now look at this mood. Who are the two preachers? One is Brahmaji, who is the guru of this material world. Haridas Thakur is Brahma, and he is the guru and the creator of this world. And the second is Nityananda Prabhu, who is Balaram, who is the guru of the spiritual world. So the guru of the material world, Brahmaji, comes as Haridas Thakur, and the guru of the spiritual world, Balaram, comes as Nityananda Prabhu. And the guru of the spiritual world and the guru of the material world both are going and begging at the door. Everyone, door to door, please chant Hare Krishna, please chant. Mukhe Hari bol bhai, ei matra bhiksha chai. Please chant with your tongue. This is the only thing I aspire. So do we want Nitai and Haridas Thakur to knock our door, fall at our feet and make us chant? No, we don't want that. Therefore, to give them pleasure, we should chant Hare Krishna. Thinking that, oh, Nitai and Haridas will come to my house and they will be very happy if I chant Hare Krishna. So to give a pleasure, to give smile onto their face, just so that they become happy, I will chant for the pleasure of Haridas Thakur, for the pleasure of Nityananda Prabhu, for the pleasure of Mahaprabhu. So in this way, japa is not done to purify our heart. Japa is not done because if I don't do, I will go to hell because of not keeping the vow. Japa is not done, oh, just because I've kept a vow, I must somehow do it. I have given my word to Gurudev. Or japa should not be done asking anything from the process. Chanting is done because it gives a smile to Gaur Nitai. And when I stop chanting, their smile reduces. I want them to smile wider and wider, so I will continue to chant. This is ahaituki and apratihata. So when Vaishnav Seva and Nam Sankirtan is done ahaituki and apratihata, Gaur Nitai become very pleased. And this fortune we have in this human form, to chant individually and collectively, and to serve also individually and collectively. Our spouse, our children at home, they're also Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. In fact, everybody is a Vaishnava. Everybody. Today, some are chanting Hare Krishna and are Vaishnavas, but maybe 10 years ago, they may not have been Vaishnavas. So similarly, There is always a phase when the Vaishnava becomes Vaishnava. So everybody ultimately will become Vaishnava someday or the other. So why not take the chance and serve everyone with this mood? That by serving them and by pleasing them, Krishna will be pleased. And then by their blessing and prayers, I will make advancement. So this automatically generates humility and tolerance and the mood of service attitude. So these are the two things which please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now let us briefly analyze what are the two things which doesn't please Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What are the two things which take away the mercy in our life? In the Prem Vivarta, Jagadananda Pandit, who is an incarnation of Satyabhama Devi, has mentioned, Jodi tumi rakte chahu Gaurangir Oshone, Choto Haridaser Katha Thake Jeno Mane. It has been described by Jagadananda Pandit, who is an incarnation of Satyabhama Devi, in Prem Vivarta, that if you want to stay close to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you meaning, he's telling all of us, if we want to be at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then Choto Haridaser Katha Thake Jeno Mane, which means one should remember the pastime of Chota Haridas. What that means is very close interaction with the opposite sex is not recommended in Vaishnava community. We could give so many different justifications for that, but this is the truth. We should respect. We are not this body, we are soul, that is correct. But still, while being in this body, we should learn to respect the opposite sex. We should be able to respect the opposite gender. Somebody's wife, somebody's mother, somebody's daughter, somebody's sister. We should be very careful in that dealing. If that purity in the sense control is kept, Mahaprabhu is very pleased. And if that is breached, then Mahaprabhu's mercy flow stops. And another second, so this point is sufficient to understand at this point. We can personally introspect and we can always elaborate on this point. The second point, which takes away the mercy, is Vaishnava aparadha. This is something that when we, and Vaishnava aparadha comes in 6 ways. This is very important to note. If one of these 6 things are there, then Mahaprabhu is not pleased. What are the 6 ways to commit offense to the Vaishnavas? In the Skanda Puran, Vyasadeva has described a very beautiful verse. So for those who are taking note, I will go slowly so that these 6 things can be noted. It is very, very important. The first thing is Hanti. Hanti means to kill. When we kill a Vaishnav, we will say, well, I have not killed a Vaishnav. Abortion is included in this, Hanti. To kill someone who is going to be a good Vaishnav. This is why we see when Indra decided to kill Prahlad Maharaj while Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb, thinking that the son of Hiranyakashipu will be like Hiranyakashipu. That is when Narad Muni comes and stops, that don't destroy this child in the womb of Kayadu, the wife of Hiranyakashipu. Don't destroy, because Prahlad is going to be a great devotee. And Hanti is a great Vaishnava aparadha. First, to kill. Second, Nindanti, to criticize. And Ninda means 2 things. Swaprashansa and Paraninda. Both things. To criticize others and to glorify the self in the presence of others. Both are included. Why? So why is it wrong to glorify the self in the presence of others? Because to glorify the self in the amidst others means I have something that you don't have. Which means you don't have. So that is not correct. That is not correct. Our vision is always to see what they have which I don't have, that I can learn from them. Every devotee can teach us one thing at least. Even if someone walks into our Seattle Vedic Cultural Center today for the first time, still that person, that devotee can teach us at least one thing that we can learn from them. And if we are not able to learn, that is our problem. It is not that they don't have it. It's just that we are not receptive enough to see that. So Sridhar Swami has described Ninda to be paradosha kirtanam. What is Ninda? Paradosha kirtanam. The kirtan, the loud proclamation of the faults of others. Whether it is true or it is not our business. Sometimes we justify. Is this Vaishnava aparadha? We say two things. We say, no, it is not Vaishnava aparadha because first, this person is not Vaishnava only. It may be aparadha, but he is not Vaishnava. Therefore, it is not Vaishnava aparadha. So it is not our take on whether someone is Vaishnava or no. Ultimately, everybody is Vaishnava. That is point number one. Second, as far as aparadha is concerned, we will say, well, it is not, he's Vaishnava, I agree, but this is not aparadha because I am just speaking the truth as it is. Even if it is truth, we have better things to discuss. We have better things for our tongue. Vaktum samartho api na vakti kaschid aho jananam yasanabhimukhyam jivhe pibaswa amritametadeva govinda damodara madhaveti. It has been described by Bilva Mangala Thakur that we have tongue to chant and glorify Sri Hari, but still we are busy sudham parityajya visham pibanti, giving up the nectar of glorification of Sri Hari. We are drinking the poison of the faults of others. Paradosha kirtanam. So this ninda is the second thing, which happens rampantly because of uncontrolled tongue. This is the second. Third is dvesh. Dvesh means envy. We may not say it, but in our mind we may feel that how come he or she is like this? How come? We may not say it, but we may feel and we may burn inside. That heat burns out our piety. So it is not good. This is the third, dvesh. Fourth, na abhinandati. To act in such a way that we don't give pleasure to the Vaishnavas. Abhinandati means to give pleasure. Na abhinandati means to not to give pleasure. To act in ways by which we don't give pleasure to the Vaishnavas. Sometimes we say, I can act the way I want. This is my life or whatever. Yeah, but then when the payback time comes, we will see. So we should always act in such a way that it gives pleasure. We may not be able to please everyone at all times, but we should try to give pleasure to our superior, our spiritual superior. Now, the fifth form of Vaishnava aparadha is kridyate. Kridyate means krodh, to get angry at Vaishnavas. This is the fifth thing. And we can justify it so many ways, but I was hearing from one great soul that if we get angry once, then 1 month of bhajan is lost. 1 month, which means if we get angry 12 times in a year, like 2020 left on the calendar, our 1 year of bhajan also gone. Sometimes people say that, well, bhajan is eternal. How can we lose credit? Because swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. That is true. But the point to be understood is, when a sadhu comes home, and if we wash his lotus feet, below his waist or below his knees, pada sevanam is going on. His lotus feet are being washed. But above his waist, we are keeping him on knife point or gun point. You think that is proper seva? It is not. So similarly, what we are doing on the body of Krishna, the feet are the deities. We are serving the deities nicely, but the neck are the Vaishnavas. The head is the Vaishnava. So we are criticizing the neck. We are criticizing the Vaishnavas and worshipping the deity. That is like worshipping the lotus feet of a sadhu, but keeping him on knife point. This is not proper seva. This is not proper seva. So to get angry at Vaishnavas is the fifth Vaishnava aparadha. And the sixth, yati no harsham, which means to not feel happy looking at a Vaishnava. To not feel happy. To feel, oh, he's like this, oh, she's like this. I don't talk about that person. Don't talk about this person. To not feel happy about their service. Darshane patanani shat. These are the 6 ways of falling down on the path of bhakti. So this is Vaishnava aparadha. So the first thing that takes away mercy is interacting with the opposite sex very closely. The second way we lose mercy is by committing Vaishnava aparadha. So these are the 6 ways to commit Vaishnava aparadha. Vaishnava aparadha are like thunderbolts on the head of the Supreme Lord. We are causing harm to the head of the Supreme Lord by hurting someone who's very dear to the Lord. Very, very dear. Vaishnava aparadha is Bhagavat aparadha. It is Nam aparadha. It is Dham aparadha. It is everything. That is the most lethal thing we can do to our spiritual life. So these are 6 things to be taken care. In a building, in a physical structure, there are emergency exits, doors through which we escape. Just in case if there is a fire emergency, you can escape through those doors. Imagine if there is a building which is on fire, and these emergency exits, which are our only hope to exit, if we jam these doors with our own hands, what is going to happen? We will burn to death in that structure. So that is life. The structure that we are talking about is this material world. The fire that we are talking about is samsara davanala, is the fire of this material existence. And the emergency exits are the Vaishnavas. And if we use these emergency exits properly, we can leave these construction buildings of this material world when the fire of material distress is there. But if we criticize the Vaishnavas, it is like jamming these doors with our own hands, and our spiritual life are burnt to ashes. So in this way, from yesterday's session to today's session, we saw, after establishing the position of Gaur Nitai and a need to serve Gaur Nitai, we understand in today's session, what is the Gaur Achar and Gaur Vichar? What are the 2 things which bring in the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and what are the 2 things which take away the mercy of Mahaprabhu? So in this way, this is the whole mood of serving the deities of Mahaprabhu, hearing the Katha of Mahaprabhu, chanting the names of Mahaprabhu, and also at the same time serving the Gaura Priya Parshad, the dear associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without criticizing, and using this life in the most super excellent way to make rapid spiritual advancement in the human form that we have endowed or blessed with. So I will pause here. If there are any questions or comments or reflections, we could take that. Also, I have planned a nice a set of nice Vaishnava bhajans. We may not be able to sing all of them, but definitely in the time that we have, we can sing a few, because yesterday our Krishna Murali Prabhu and Vrajaraman Prabhu instructed me to sing a few Gaur Nitai bhajans. So therefore today we will definitely have something, but I will let Vrajaraman Prabhu decide the order from now. The class is done at this point. So we want to whether take questions, reflections, and then bhajans, or what the format should be. I'll let Vrajaraman Prabhu decide. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
So maybe Prabhu, we can go ahead and start with the bhajans, Prabhu. In the meanwhile, devotees, if you can, all of you can organize your questions and send it in the chat. And Anandra Prabhu, I believe that we also enabled the comments on the YouTube. So viewers on YouTube, if you have any questions, you can log your comments as questions, and we'll take it in the order of first come, first serve basis. So Prabhu, we can start with the bhajan, Prabhu.
Sure. So the good news is we are going to start with a bhajan which has a falashruti. Falashruti means the fruit of singing this bhajan. What is that? If we sing this bhajan every day, it has been mentioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that all of our Vaishnava aparadha will be taken away. So after discussing so much about Vaishnava aparadha, the heart may have gotten sad that I don't know what hope I have. So we have lots of hope. Mahaprabhu is very kind. So we will sing this bhajan. I will let you read the meaning independently whenever you have time at home. But if this bhajan is chanted, sung, or read every day, and in the future we are careful and not frivolous, then Mahaprabhu is very kind to forgive all of our offenses. So we will sing Vrindavana Vasi Jata first.
Anandra Prabhu, you want to share the lyrics, Prabhu?
Thank you. So
Is-
this is written by Devaki Nandan Prabhu. There is a short history I would like to give of this bhajan. So those devotees who are singing this bhajan will really, really, really appreciate the history of this bhajan. There is a mention of a person by the name Gopal Chapal in Chaitanya Leela. And Gopal Chapal was the most prominent pujari in Navadvip. He was the Pandit, he was scholar number one. And he was someone whom people would ask all their questions to. But suddenly what happened was Srivas Thakur or Srivas Pandit's popularity increased to such an extent by his chanting and singing and all night long kirtans at Srivas Angan that somehow Gopal Chapal was replaced by Srivas Thakur. So people who went to Gopal Chapal for asking questions and guidance, they would now go to Srivas Thakur. And this was intolerable to the heart of Gopal Chapal. So Gopal Chapal felt that His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says something very brilliantly beautiful at this point. He says, we always end up envying someone who is doing the same service as us. And he gives an example. He says, a Mridanga player never envies a singer. But a Mridanga player envies another Mridanga player. A singer may envy another singer. A preacher may envy another preacher, etc., etc. So here Gopal Chapal was really, really in his heart affected by the fact that people went to Srivas Thakur. And Srivas Thakur was actually making them unlearn the things that they learned from Gopal Chapal. Gopal Chapal was teaching them Karma Kanda. And Srivas Thakur was saying, Sarva Dharman Parityaja Nam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. Give up everything and take shelter of Harinam. So Gopal Chapal was thinking that this is too much. But still he tried to tolerate. Then he made an attempt to enter the night kirtans of Mahaprabhu. And there Mahaprabhu rejected him, didn't accept him. So now this Gopal Chapal could not accept. So he kept wine and meat outside the house of Srivas Thakur at night to show everyone in the morning that, oh, this person is trying to act as if he's a great soul, but look what he does at night. Instead of worshipping Hari, he's actually a Shakta, which means he worships Durga Devi. He's acting to be a great soul, but he is drinking alcohol and eating meat at night. So this was an attempt to bring in some blemish to the character of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur didn't mind, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did mind. He took offense by this. And as a result of this Vaishnava aparadha by Gopal Chapal, in 3 days, his body started melting because of white leprosy. And he was completely ousted, banished, exiled into the forest, away from the community. So he lost the beauty of his youth because his nose and his fingers and his feet and toes were all melting. And he was losing them, losing the formation of the form. He lost the beauty, he lost his wealth, he lost his family, he lost his position in the village. In fact, even food was a problem. Nobody associated with him because he was thrown into the forest to die because it was contagious. He knew that there was no one to forgive him except Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Mahaprabhu was passing by on the banks of Ganga. Please give me protection. And Mahaprabhu said, may you be in this condition for 10 million births for what you have done to Srivas Thakur. And then Mahaprabhu did not forgive him. The next news he heard was Mahaprabhu took sannyas and left Navadvip. So the only person who could have uplifted him has left Navadvip and taken sannyas. And after all of this, the struggle that Gopal Chapal faced in the forest, he was all by himself, no shelter, and it took him many, many years just to stay there. Mahaprabhu finally, after all of his travels, when he came to Kuliyagram, there he was forgiving all the Vaishnava aparadhis. He forgave Gopal Chakravarti, who criticized Haridas Thakur. He forgave Devananda Pandit, who ill-treated or whose disciples ill-treated Srivas Thakur. He now there at that point, Gopal Chapal went and he was forgiven by Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu said, I forgive you, but the service that I give you is go and take Diksha from Srivas Thakur. The person whom you have criticized is the one whom you should go and take Diksha from. I want you to go and surrender. So Srivas Thakur said, oh, how can I give you Diksha? You're like my friend. How can I give you Diksha? I've always been praying for you. I cannot give you Diksha. You take Diksha from Nityananda Prabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgave Gopal Chapal and told him to take Diksha from Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur said, I cannot give Diksha. You take from Nityananda Prabhu. When he went to Nityananda Prabhu said, I cannot give Diksha. You take Diksha from Purushottam Acharya. And finally, Gopal Chapal, he came and surrendered to the lotus feet of Gopal or to Purushottam Acharya and said, please forgive me, and please give me Diksha. Purushottam Acharya gave Diksha to Gopal Chapal and named him Devaki Nandan Das Thakur, the author of this song. Basically, what I'm saying is this song was written by Gopal Chapal. That Gopal Chapal, who criticized Srivas Thakur and who was rejected by Mahaprabhu, was protected by Purushottam Acharya and given Diksha by the name Devaki Nandan Das Thakur. And when he asked Purushottam Acharya, what is my seva? Purushottam Acharya said, write a song, preferably a book, glorifying the Vaishnavas of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as a result of his repentance and crying and weeping, he wrote this song, which glorifies Vaishnavas, all the associates of Mahaprabhu in Vrindavan, in Nilachal, in Navadvip. Wherever Mahaprabhu's devotees are there, I offer my obeisances to all of them, says Devaki Nandan Prabhu, who was previously Gopal Chapal. Because of that history of this song has the power that anyone who chants this song every day will be freed from Vaishnava aparadha. So come on, let's join our hands and hearts together, dear devotees, and let us sing this song in the mood of repentance for all the mistakes we may have committed. Let us pray to Gaura Nitai for protection. May the Gopal Chapal in us be pacified, and may he surrender to the Vaishnava devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Let us sing this song. Vrindavana Vasi Jata Vaishnavera Gana Prathame Vandana Kori Shobara Charana Nilachala Vasi Jata Mahaprabhur Gana Bhumite Podiya Bando Shobara Charana Navadipa Vashi Jata Mahaprabhur Bhakta Shobara Charana Bando Hoyanurata Mahaprabhur Bhakta Jatha Gaura Deshe Sthiti Shobara Charana Bando Koriya Pranati Je deshe boishe Gaurangera Gana Urdhva Bahu Kori Bando Shabara Charana Hoya Chena Hoibena Prabhur Jata Dasha Shabara Charana Bando Dante Kari Ghasha Brahmanda Tarite Shakti Dhare Jane Jane Eveda Purane Guna Gaye Jeva Shune মহাপ্রভুর গণসভ পতিত পাবন, তাই লভে মুই পাপি লইনু শরণ। বন্দনা করিতে মই কত শক্তি ধরি, তম বুদ্ধি দোষে মুই দম্ভ মাত্র করি। তথাপি মুখের ভাগ্য মনের উল্লাস, দোষ ক্ষমি মুধমে কর নিজ দাস। সর্ব বাঞ্ছা সিদ্ধি হয় যম বন্ধ ছুটে, জগতে দুর্লভ হইয়া প্রেম ধন লুটে। মনের বাসনা পূর্ণ অচিরাতে হয়, দেবকী নন্দন দাস এই লভে কয়। দেবকী নন্দন দাস এই লভে কয়। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। দেবকী নন্দন দাস এই লভে কয়। দেবকী নন্দন দাস এই লভে কয়। Devaki Nandan Prabhu ki jai. He was Gopal Chappal. But look at the transformation. Every line he's saying, Shabhara Charana Bandha, Shabhara Charana Bandha. I'm bowing down at all the lotus feet. So in this way, we can have hope, and on the path of Susukham Kartum Avyayam, let the past be past. We can start a fresh beginning, chant this every day, and we can follow the 2 do's and the 2 don'ts for today. The next song that we sing was the song that our Krishna Murli Prabhu was mentioning yesterday. Ke Jabi Bhai, Bhava Sindhu Par. So we can sing that now. This is a song by Lochandas Thakur, where he's asking this question: oh brothers, who among us is ready to go across the ocean of birth and death, where the bathing ghat belongs to Mahaprabhu, the boat is Harinam, the oars of rowing the boat are the 2 hands, and the boatman is Sri Guru. So let us sing this song. Gaura ke jabi re bhai, Bhava Sindhu Par. Gaura ke jabi re bhai, Bhava Sindhu Par. Dhanya Kali Juger Jay Tannavatar, Chaitanya Avatar. Dhanna Kali Juger Jay Tannavatar, Bhava Sindhu Par. গৌরা কে যাবি কে যাবি রে ভাই ভব সিন্ধু পার আমার গৌরাঙ্গের ঘাটে আদান আদান খেয়াবায় জড় অন্ধ তোরব ধীপার আদান খেয়াবায় জড় অন্ধ তোরব ধীপার আদান খেয়াবায় গৌরা কে যাবি রে ভাই ভব সিন্ধু পার হরি নামের নৌকা খানি শ্রী গুরু কান্ডারি শ্রী গুরু কান্ডারি সংকীর্তনা খেরায়াল দুবাহু পসারি দুবাহু পসারি গৌরা কে যাবি রে ভাই ভব সিন্ধু পার ধন্য কলি যুগের চৈতন্য অবতার Finally, the fourth stanza. সব জীব হইল পার প্রেমের বাতাসে প্রেমের বাতাসে পড়িয়া রহিল লোচন আপনার দোষে আপনার দোষে পড়িয়া রহিল লোচন আপনার দোষে আপনার দোষে গৌরা কে যাবি রে ভাই ভব সিন্ধু পার ধন্য কলি যুগের তন্ময় অবতার চৈতন্য অবতার জয় গৌর হরি জয় শচীনন্দন গৌর হরি জয় গৌরনিতাই জয় গৌরনিতাই হরি বল গৌর হরি বল গৌর হরি বল নিতাই গৌর প্রেমানন্দে Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Shri Sachinandan Gaura Hari Ki Joy. So in this way, these were the two Vaishnava bhajans that we can sing. To first bhajan, to stay away from the negative, and second bhajan, to go towards the positive. So in this way, these were the two Vaishnava bhajans. So maybe now we can start the questions or any reflections possible, so that any interaction from the Vaishnavas, that is very auspicious. Thank you.
So Hare Krishna Prabhu, so I have received a couple of questions. So some of them are related to what we covered today's topic. So let me start with that, Prabhu, then we can see if you have time, then we can look into the other questions which may be not related to today's topic. So Prabhu, the first question is coming from Pratibha Kamble. Hare Krishna, Dandavats Pranam. How to overcome the envy towards Vaishnavas?
By glorifying them. There is no other way. We have to see that the same Krishna who's empowering me is the same Krishna who's empowering him. Same Krishna. It's like one bulb feeling envious of the other bulb without understanding that they're all being infused with the same electricity. So we are all ultimately bulbs, and we are going to go fuse very soon. So instead of comparing bulbs, we should understand that the same electricity which is going through me is the same electricity that's going through her or him or them. So I'm very grateful for the fact that Krishna is using us. We should personally think that the electric bulb of our consciousness is being lit by Krishna's electricity. We should feel very grateful. At the same time, we should feel very, very happy that Krishna is empowering that Vaishnava so wonderfully. He's so good at this. This is Krishna's Vibhuti Shakti, that he is doing or she is doing this service so nicely. So this thought in the mind, and also verbalizing that, talking, glorifying them as much as possible. By the surplus of the flood of positive glorification, the negative envious thought will be overcome. Apart from that, there is no other way. We can hear so many seminars on overcoming envy. The ultimate thing that works is glorifying the Vaishnavas.
Thank you, Prabhu. The next question is from Ramya Srinivas Mataji. What if I see that a devotee is deviating from the principles of sadhana bhakti, and I am not in a position to tell it? Then whenever I see that devotee, I remember it is Vaishnava aparadha.
When someone is deviating, there are a couple of thoughts here. If we are in a position, managerially or socially or personally, then we should try to bring it to the person, the notice of that person, if we are in that position. If we are not in that position, then we should just tolerate. We should just let go. It is not our business. Ultimately, Krishna is in control. Krishna is in control for everyone. And then the question is, well, how do I tolerate seeing their deviation? Well, Krishna is tolerating me in the first place. Krishna is tolerating my nonsense. Krishna is tolerating my deviation. So why can't I tolerate things around? No problem. Absolutely no problem. If we are in a position, we should bring it to the notice of that person. If we are not in that position, we should let go. We should not go and tell the superior who is in position, because that's unnecessary. If someone is superior to us in age, if someone is senior to us in spiritual life, and if someone is not receptive in listening, and we are not in a position, these are the 4 cases when we should avoid. This was given by His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj when this question was asked in a Sunday feast in ISKCON Atlanta. His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj was asked about the same thing. And Maharaj said, if that person is senior in age, we don't tell them. If the person is senior in Krishna consciousness, we don't tell them. Third, if they are not receptive, we don't tell them. And fourth, if we are not in a position, managerially or personally or socially, we don't tell them. If the position is such that they are receptive, they want to know, they're open to know, and we are in a position, then we should say. Otherwise, just move on, chant Hare Krishna. There's so many things. When we are driving a car, we see so many things. We see a mall, we see a ice cream parlor, we see a child, we may see a tree. If we don't sit and stand, then we will not move ahead. So Krishna consciousness is like driving the car. So many colorful things will be seen around. Keep chanting. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. A Bahirmukh person is someone who's always looking outside. What is happening? He will sit to chant Hare Krishna also. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You're always looking what is happening on the phone, who's calling, who's talking, who's eating. This is Bahirmukta, to look outside. But Vaishnav means Antarmukta, always looking within. Always looking within. If that person is deviating, well, I have also deviated in the past and I may still be deviating. So let me just fix all of that. One devotee was saying, we can start correcting others the day we have become pure devotees. Because when we become pure devotees, we will not correct them. Till then, we have so much to work on ourselves. So it's a nice paradox. Till the time there is enough scope in correcting myself, I will not correct others. Why to go around and give advice unnecessarily? Not needed. Did anybody give us the responsibility? You become the person, go and correct everyone. No, that is not given. It is up to his Guru Dev, and Krishna is in control. Paramatma is there. Shastra is there. Deities are there. Everybody is going in a pravaha, in a flow. Everybody will reach their destination accordingly. You don't have to get distracted. Just looking within, fixing where we are going wrong. And we have so many things to do. We have to study Shastra, we have to chant Japa, we have to do Kirtan, we have to hear Harikatha, serve the deities, serve the Vaishnavas. Where is the time to do all this? So we should be absorbed.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, one follow-up question. This is more from my side. Is there a way we can commit Vaishnava aparadha manasikti?
Dvesh.
Okay.
Dvesh. And here's the interesting thing. What happens in the mind doesn't stay in the mind, in an uncontrolled mind. It comes to the tongue very quickly. Because the nature of a conditioned soul is talking. He loves to chatter, loves to gossip, loves to talk. And this is why Rupa Goswami, who ultimately brings one to, Vaikunta, Janita, Vara, Madhupuri, Tatrapi, Rasotsavat, coming the last verse of Nectar of Instruction to Radha Kund, he starts with Vacho Vegam. He could have said anything, but he says Vacho Vegam. Even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that Jibhara lalasa e iti uti dhoy, Shishna udara parayana Krishna nahi pai. Mahaprabhu has said, if you talk too much, and if you eat too much, and if you interact with the opposite sex too closely, then Krishna nahi pai. Then you will not get Krishna. Even Raghunath Das Goswami in the Manashiksha, he says that the desire to speak too much, it's actually like a robber on the highway. When we are carrying a lot of wealth and the robbers come in the highway and plunder and take everything away, he says, whatever consciousness we have developed spiritually, too much talking of this world will take away all of that. So therefore, maunam sarvartha sadhanam. It is better to talk only when needed. Talk what is needed. Anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyam hitam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva vang maya tapa uchyate. There is a reason why Krishna put this in the Bhagavad Gita. The tongue is such a muscle which doesn't have a bone, because if something has a bone, you can hold it. You can embrace someone tightly and hold him. But the tongue is such a muscle, you try to hold, it'll slip and leave. And this tongue drags us in the whole world, just talking. Raghunath Das Goswami says, Asatvarta. He uses the term Asatvarta in his Manahashiksha. Raghunath Das Goswami has spoken, Rupa Goswami has spoken, Kaviraj Goswami has spoken about this chit-chatting, gossiping. So when we have that mentality to constantly keep talking something or the other, and then what stays in the mind, every fluctuation of the mind, every burst in the mind comes on the tongue. So there is no filter from the mind to the tongue. So what happens is whatever comes in the mind doesn't stay as a manasik Vaishnava aparadha. It becomes vachik very soon. And then it becomes karma. So it just goes bigger and bigger like a balloon, just expands. So the thing is, Mai asakta manaha partha yogam yunjan madashrayah asamshayam samagram mam yathajnasasi tachruno. This is very important to put our mind. So in the mind only, when these thoughts come, nahi, galat, galat, udhari maar dena hai. We should not let it flow down to the tongue. We have to like finish the enemy in the root itself, not let them attack more and more. But the problem is when we don't identify the enemy, even after hearing so much, the enemy lives within and we feed it. So we need very sharp intelligence. Asanga shastrena dhridena chitva. We need very strong sword of determination and discrimination. What is this thought? Is it needed? No. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. How will you know who's a devotee and who's a demon? What is Daivik Pravriti? What is Asurik Pravriti? Someone who doesn't calculate what his mind is thinking is a demon. And someone who's always keeping a watch on what kind of fluctuations the mind are going through is a devotee. This is very, very important. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says something very beautiful in this regard. He says, a demon sees with his mind and a devotee sees his mind. Very beautiful. He says a demon sees through his mind and a devotee sees his mind. He's constantly watching his mind. So Manasik Vaishnava aparadha doesn't stay there. It's like Rajogun. It's very unsteady. So it falls down to Tamogun very quickly. Very quickly. So.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, I have 3 more questions. Maybe one more, maybe I just popped up on the chat. So, Prabhu, one question is related to yesterday's Dham, Tattva, Prabhu, and 2 more questions related to Japa. So, what is your preference? Shall I go with the, which one, Prabhu?
We could take all 3 and then we can wrap up for today.
Sure, Prabhu. So, this question is from Deepika Goyal. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavats Pranam. My question is, what is the difference between 3 types of Dham? Prakata Dham, Aprakata Dham, and Drishyamana Dham.
Well, when Krishna appears in this world, that is called Prakat Vrindavan. That is Goloka Vrindavan. When Krishna comes down in this world once in the day of Brahma, he brings that Goloka Vrindavan down. So generally it is aprakat, it is not to be seen. But when Krishna appears in this world, it becomes Prakat Vrindavan. And then after Krishna wraps up his pastimes, he takes his associates back but leaves the dham behind. But what is seen now is not the same dham that is seen during Krishna's physical presence. So what we see now is called Drishyaman Vrindavan. So in this way, there are multiple Vrindavans. One is Goloka Vrindavan. One is Bhuloka Vrindavan. Bhuloka Vrindavan is the Prakat Dham, Prakat Vrindavan. Aprakat is when it is present, but I'm not able to see the pastimes of Radha and Krishna at Seva Kunj, at Nidhivan, at Radha Kund, at Kusum Sarovar. That is aprakat. The pastimes are going on, but I can't see. Prakat, when Krishna manifests. And Drishyaman, that we can see when we go to the Dham. What is left behind at this point. Also, there are other Vrindavans. The Vrindavan that is created in the heart of a Vaishnava, which he manifests in this world outside Vrindavan. Like, for example, the Govardhan village is an example of that, where a great sadhu manifests Vrindavan of his heart in a place outside Vrindavan. Like His Holiness Shivaram Maharaj's New Brajadam Hungary farm, creating Vrindavan outside Vrindavan from the heart of a great soul. Rupa and Sanatan Goswami's Nava Vrindavan. So in this way, there are different kinds of Vrindavan, and this is the general understanding in Dham Tattva.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhu, next question, Prabhu, it's from Brajakripa Prabhu. Brajakripa Prabhu, since you are on the Zoom, you want to go ahead and ask the question, Prabhu, yourself. Prabhu, you're on mute.
I didn't realize, sorry. Haribol Prabhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
One practical question, Prabhu. You narrated many wonderful stories, actually very heart-melting stories. So the story of Kalidas, the qualities of him. How do we actually, develop such humility, just to aspire for the mercy of Vaishnavas? He's going all the way to, give them fruits and accept their Mahaprasad. That seems quite difficult in this time and days. So I just want to hear more on that.
Well, that will develop when there is love for the Supreme Lord. Because when there is love for the Supreme Lord in the heart, when we love Sri Krishna, we love Sri Hari, then everyone who's connected to Sri Hari becomes the object of our love. Just like when I remember when I came to America for the first time, I was in a foreign land, but when I saw someone from Mumbai, I felt, oh, you are also some from the same place. So I have some affection and affinity to my birthplace, and someone coming from there, so naturally I could connect, although I didn't know him. So in the material sense, we see when I have some affection for something or someone, and someone else is also somehow connected to that, we share that affection. So where is this found? This is ultimately found when someone can make Krishna the Kendra Bindu, the center of one's life. One is breathing Krishna, living for Krishna, chanting the names of Krishna, hearing only Krishna, speaking only Krishna, eating only Krishna, breathing and being awake and even sleeping and dreaming only about Krishna. When someone, such a high-class Vaishnava, sees that this person is chanting the name of my Krishna, he's worshipping my Krishna, automatically heart melts. I will do anything. I will die for him. He's so dear to my heart. So it is a matter of love. When love for Krishna is not there, we can develop something, but it will be conditional or artificial or partial. Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj used these three adjectives. It will be either conditional or artificial or partial. But when there is, he would say it is a matter of love. When there is love for Krishna, then automatically swastyastu vishwasya kalaha prasidatam. One will be very joyful to just be incognito and serve the Vaishnavas, expecting nothing from them. It will be considered a sin in their heart that someone who's serving Krishna, I want him to get distracted from his service to Krishna to remember me and glorify me. It is such an abominable sin. I want to be like salt, just adds taste, but completely be absent so that he doesn't get distracted by my presence, so that he continues serving and I continue serving him, so that this flood continues. But I getting in the way between him and Krishna and distracting him from Krishna to me and glorifying me and appreciating me, this is like thunderbolt to the heart. This is like thunderbolt to the heart.
Wow. Wonderful explanation, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
So, Prabhu, the next question is from Ashitkar Dhananjay. This is regarding japa, Prabhu. What to do if mind runs away while doing japa?
Mind must run away while doing japa, because the mind knows it's game over for him. The mind never runs during Facebook browsing, because he knows he's pretty much in control. When someone is answering emails or chit-chatting, gossiping, eating things of this world, talking things of this world, living a very relaxed, non-challenging life, the mind is very comfortable. It never gets distracted. Has anyone ever had this problem? I am trying to browse Facebook, Prabhuji, but my mind gets distracted. Never possible, because the mind is comfortable. He's sitting on the throne of leadership in the consciousness of the devotee. But when chanting starts, the mind knows, oh, now I will be finished. I will be finished. So just like we see in this world, If there is a servant who has been serving us for a long time, if the servant says, I have to leave your service now, I have got another place, we will say, why are you leaving? You're so dear to me. I will increase your salary. I've got used to you being in the house. My kids like you. Your cooking is so nice. We like you. We will increase your salary. Please don't leave. But if he says, no, I still have to go, then we will tempt him even more. And once he agrees, then back to the same thing. Hey, why this is not kept properly? I told you in the morning, do this, do that. So similarly, the mind or Maya Devi does not like to lose servants. We are the eternal servants of Maya Devi in this material world. And now when the Jiva starts making this journey that, oh, well, I have to leave you. Kamadinam katina katida palita durnideshas tesham jata maina karuna na trapa no pashantihi utsrujjaitan athayadupate sampratam labda buddhi tvam ayata sharanam abhayam mam niyung shvatmadasya Chaitanya Charitamrita. That, oh mind, please leave me. I have to go because I have got another master. What will the mind say? Hey, why are you going? Please come. I am so used to you serving me. You're so kind to me. So when chanting process starts, it's like telling the mind, I am leaving. So the mind starts getting restless and agitated. No, please don't leave me. But the only way to do is continue chanting, continue hammering the mind with the holy name. Who's more powerful? The resistance of the mind or the assistance of the holy name? Is it the resistance of the mind or the assistance of the holy name? It is the assistance of the holy name which is way more powerful. So we should continue chanting. Today the mind is saying, no, 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 no. Tomorrow, this same mind will say, why are you wasting time? Why don't you chant Hare Krishna? At that time, the mind becomes a friend. So this agitation must come. In the Samudra Manthan Leela also, before the nectar came, first the poison came. So when our mind gets churned by chanting Hare Krishna, then first the poison will come of agitation. We should request Lord Shiva to come and drink it up. Then so that the nectar of Amrita Kalash will be given by Dhanvantari and distributed by Mohini Murti. So before Nama Ruchi comes, this agitation will be there, and it is completely understood. When we are cleaning the room also, dust will rise, but we continue cleaning so that the room becomes clean eventually. So when the cleaning Cheto Darpana Marjanam takes place, the mind will become little agitated, but the process is Kintu Adarad Anudinam. These are the two words Rupa Goswami uses in the Nectar of Instruction. Adarad, chant respectfully, reverentially, attentively, and Anudinam, every day. We may chant attentively once a week, or we may chant every day but not respectfully. But if both of this is there, then the mind must give up. This is like a boxing ring. Round 1, round 2, round 3, and Prabhupada says 16 rounds. Minimum. So ultimately the mind and the mantra must come together, and the mind will eventually initially try to beat, but eventually the mantra will beat. This is why Dhyan Chandra Goswami defines japa. What is japa? He says mana madhye sthitam mantram, mantra madhye sthitam manaha. Ultimately japa comes to a point where the mind is in the mantra and the mantra is in the mind, and they both become one, vibrating the holy name. So this is prarambik dasha. We all have to go through that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Harinam Chintamani, success in chanting Hare Krishna is a colossal struggle. But that struggle is easier than struggling in another mother's womb. Instead of struggling in punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani, jathare shayanam, ihasansare, bahudustare, kripaya pare, pahi murare, it's easier to struggle chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So yes, it is a struggle, but that's the way. First, we go through that. It's like cycling up a mountain. We have to keep pedaling. If you leave, we will slip. But we have to go up the mountain peak. But now once we cross the stage of Nishtha, which is the peak, then coming down, we don't have to bike. We can even leave, and by Nam Ruchi, we will be taken. You don't have to worry. The holy name will flood and will flow. So it is a struggle, but someone who crosses that, Krishna standing there with open arms to embrace.
Thank you, Amarendra Prabhu. I said only you 3 questions, but Prabhu, this question should be very easy. This is it should be a yes or no. This is from Radha Vinod Prabhu. Is this Kalidas the same as Kalidas who has written Kurma Sambhavam?
Kumara Sambhavam? No.
I'm sorry, yes, Kumara Sambhavam. Yes, Prabhu. Yes, sir.
That is Mahakavi Kalidas. This is Gaura Parshad Kalidas.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhu, we have many more questions, so this shows that maybe we may need to have a few more sessions in the future, Prabhu, and we are on the top of the hour.
Sure.
So, dear devotees, this concludes the 2-session Harikatha with His Grace Amarendra Prabhu. Yesterday we saw Prabhu very elaborately talk about Gaura Tattva, and today he talked about Gaura Achar and Gaura Vichar. So again, not as just a formality, but from our heart, sincerely expressing our gratitude to His Grace Amarendra Prabhu by loudly chanting Hari Bol. And just hold on before you chant Hari Bol. Almost 10 o'clock for Prabhuji, okay? And tomorrow, I'm taking this Audacity. Prabhu may not prefer this. It's Prabhu's birthday tomorrow. Prabhu is in East Coast. In just 2 hours, Prabhu is going to celebrate his birthday. But you see, he's so much intensity to serve the Vaishnavas and do Harikatha. He is among with us. So let's chant Hari Bol, and also please pray for Prabhuji. If Prabhuji has touched your heart, if he through his Harikatha, if he has helped you in your sadhana, in your bhakti, please pray sincerely to Radha Nilamadav, Shishi Gaurnitai, who is very dear to Amarendra Prabhu, that he has a very healthy and long life, and many more years to come, that he can serve through his Harikatha, Hari Kirtan. So let's chant Hari Bol, and all of you can wish him advance happy birthday. Sorry, Prabhu, I took the audacity to announce it in this group, Prabhu, but I couldn't restrain myself. Hari Bol!
Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
Hari Bol!
Happy birthday, Prabhuji.
Happy Krishna conscious
A
birthday.
very happy Krishna conscious
Conscious birthday.
Happy
Thank
Krishna
you.
Happy
conscious
Krishna conscious
Happy
birthday.
Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhu.
Happy Krishna conscious
Happy Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhu.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Very, very happy Krishna conscious birthday, Prabhuji. Very
Thank you. Hare
Birthday, Prabhuji.
Rajavan Prabhu, we should sing Hare Krishna to you.
Yes.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Amarendra Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
If everybody is going to keep chanting like this, I hope my birthday comes every day.
Prabhu, we can celebrate your birthday every day, Prabhu. You come here.
Prabhu,
Thank
today
you. Thank you, everyone.
Nandarani Priya Mataji's birthday. Or Damodar's wife. So
My prostrated obeisances to Mataji and my sincere prayers to Bhanu Nandini for her spiritual success.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone, for kindly blessing me and offering your heartfelt best wishes. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam. Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone, for kindly blessing me and offering your heartfelt blessings. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.